So I'm currently working on peer effects. Peer effects are about how much you are affected by the people around you. So if you come to a social environment, how do your peers affect your educational performance, but also the decisions that you make in everyday life and in education. So in my most recent paper, we study personality peer effects. So we want to know what happens to you if I put you into a group of peers that is, for example, more persistent, more hardworking, or that is more extrovert or more neurotic. What we find in this paper is when you randomly assign students into study groups containing more persistent, more hardworking peers, these students also perform better grades themselves. So they're more likely to pass the exam and they get higher grades. We also find a downside of having exposure to these very persistent peers. We find those students, despite the fact that they perform better, they also choose easier courses afterwards. So it seems that they were kind of discouraged by this exposure to very persistent peers, and then they prefer less mathematical, easier courses. While this seems surprising, it's very consistent with an economic model where students really specialize in those fields where they have a comparative advantage in comparison to the other people that they observe. One paper that really influenced my work is the paper by Bruce Cesar-Dodd, Scott Carell, and Jim West, the endogenous formation of peer groups. What the researchers do is they basically conducted an earlier study which informs them about the optimal peer group composition. They then go out into the field and test whether this works. What they find, what is pretty surprising, is that those students, they actually wanted to help. Those low-achieving students, they were really harmed by the intervention and they performed worse when they exposed to high-achieving students. What we can learn from this is that we have to think more carefully about the underlying mechanisms when designing policy interventions and think about what really creates this pattern of social interaction and do we fully understand it. So I think one important research question in the field of behavioral economics but also education research is how students react to information that they receive about their own social standing. So what happens when students learn how they perform in comparison to others? Social comparisons are everywhere, and I think these might be really important for the type of beliefs that I form. So if I learn how I compare to others, that's going to affect the way I think about myself, my self-esteem, and potentially how I perform in the future. I think we should investigate these issues more closely. My name is Ulf Zölitz, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher.